G'day and welcome back to the channel. Bit of an update, trying to keep you updated with how things are going. And this is a response. Now, I've had a lot of people emailing me about the Colorado drone situation. For those who don't know, there have been formations of drones seen flying over Colorado and is it Nebraska along the border there. And nobody knows who's flying them, what they're for, what they're doing there. But there's some interesting thing. People are joining dots. And I thought, well, I'm not going to become part of the conspiracy theory, but let's examine the facts. Now, what people have said to me is this is just a plan by the FAA to get people scared and upset so they support the new NPRM for electronic ID. Now, I got to say right from the beginning, I have no information on this. Anything that I say would be speculation, but let's just examine what we can and see whether this is possibly true before we dismiss it out of hand. Right, first of all, what is a false flag operation? Well, a false flag is when some group, organisation or body goes out and does something covertly to strengthen their case. You know, so if the FAA was going to do this, they could put these drones up and the public would go, oh, we need to be protected from these evil, mysterious drones. The FAA will come to our rescue and give us this electronic ID and this will never happen again. That would be a false flag operation. Right, so let's examine the facts. First of all, people are seeing these drones, they fly at night, but people are seeing them because they've got lights on. Now, you would think that if someone was trying to do something covertly or illegally, they wouldn't put lights on their drones. And apparently the lights can be turned off because people have said that the drones, when they got close, the lights were turned off and the drones disappeared. So obviously they want people to see the drones. Whoever's flying them want people to see them. So that kind of sounds a little bit suspicious, doesn't it, if they were doing something bad. Now, the immediate thought was, well, it's probably military or government contractors or something, but all the military organisations and all the government contractors that have been contacted by the media have said, we don't know anything about it. They could be lying. Obviously, if it's classified top secret, the military aren't going to say, yeah, it's us, you know, we're doing a classified thing. Dan, you've caught us out, never mind. So that's not necessarily a guarantee that it isn't the military or some government contractor, whatever. The other thing that's quite interesting is that the FAA themselves haven't really put much resources into tracking down the operators of these drones, even though they would appear to be flying illegally. They're flying at night. And you would think, well, if they're flying at night, are they allowed to fly at night? Maybe they've got an exemption, some kind of certificate to let them fly at night. They're flying under 107 or something. So you think the FAA would have reasonably good ways of tracking down who's doing this and asking them what they're doing, especially since no one knows who's doing it. It could be a bad thing. Where is the FAA? Oh, they're too busy making new rules up to actually enforce the ones they've got. Not a good look for the FAA. So yeah, but the FBI is getting involved, but nothing's really happening. And this is kind of hugely contrasting with the situation at Gatwick just over a year ago when one drone was seen and the world's anti-drone technology companies all rolled up and promised to solve the problem with their high-tech gadgets. So where are those counter-drone companies now? Why aren't they in Colorado helping track down these drones or find out who's doing it or bring them out of the sky? No sign of them. It's deadly quiet from their point of view. Remember, commercial operators, including anti-drone technology, they are the ones who are going to benefit most from all these new regulations. So the other question is, who would be in a position to have, I won't call them flocks, but groups of drones like this? Who's got enough drones to create a formation? Well, it's probably not you or me or anybody else I know or any amateurs or hobbyists. It's almost certainly going to be a commercial or a government entity. And we know that some of the big names have experimented with formations of drones. Intel's done it. I'm pretty sure that Google's done it. I'm pretty sure that DHL and Amazon will have had a play around with it. And these are all the other people that are going to be benefiting from these new rules under the NPRM. So it kind of looks, if you look at it that way, it does seem to stack up, thinking it's lending weight to the theory that this could be a false flag operation. But as I say, we don't have any facts. It's all speculation. Now, the other thing that really got me thinking that maybe there's a point here is Elaine Chao. She was speaking at CES just last week, and she used these drones as justification for why we need electronic ID. Oh, we need electronic ID. And this is what she said. Now, I got this off, this is what she said. I got this off Alan Yu's YouTube channel because I couldn't find the original source for it. So, and I recommend you have a look at Alan's channel. Great channel. I watch it every day. I don't know why I do. It's just, I find it entertaining. Perhaps I like squirrels. But go and have a look at Alan's channel. Now, this is an excerpt that he put on his channel with Ms. Elaine Chow talking about these drones.
And I think for all of us who have read about or seeing recent news developments out of Colorado and also Nebraska of mystery drones flying in formations at night, well, that's certainly a timely illustration of why remote IDs are needed.
So that's interesting, isn't it? How conveniently coincidental that these drones appeared shortly after the NPRM was published. And shortly after it became probably obvious to the FAA that there was a huge outcry from the hobby. People in the hobby were outraged by the demands for electronic ID and effectively the death knell for the traditional hobby being signed by these freers that would gradually disappear over time. So if you were a conspiracy theorist, you could be forgiven for thinking that this is all a cunning ploy by the US government or associated parties or parties that have some commercial interest in seeing this NPRM go through and become a rule. It'd be pretty hard to argue against that. But as I say, I have no evidence. I don't think anyone else has any evidence. We'll have to wait and see. But you would think with the might of the FBI and the might of the FAA, they would pretty soon track down who's flying these drones and tell us all. I wonder, I'd have a feeling that we may never know. And that would just add more weight to the conspiracy theory. Now, the other question you have to ask is, if we did have electronic ID in place now, if the NPRM was already a rule, how would it have helped track down and identify these drones? Well, I believe it would have had no effect whatsoever. If you wanted to do something secretly, covertly, off the radar, you would simply use drones that didn't have electronic ID technology. These drones don't have electronic ID technology, so why would bad guys or anyone trying to do something without being tracked, why would they use drones with electronic ID technology? These rules only affect those who follow the rules, and people who are not going to follow the rules will not put electronic ID on their drones, so it all becomes a giant exercise in futility. It basically becomes a patting ourselves on the back exercise on the part of the FAA. Yes, by all means, fit all this electronic conspicuity on commercial drones being flown in controlled airspace, but leave the hobby alone. Now, I'd like to hear what you guys think. Is this just a conspiracy theory, or does all this coincidence add up to be simply too much to attribute to, just anything other than the false flag operation that some people claim it is? I don't know. As I say, I do not know, and personally, I'm not willing to speculate. I've just presented you with what I've been told by people who believe this, and the way and the facts as they relate to whether or not this could be true or just someone making stuff up. There you go, something to think about anyway. Now, I'm working on other strategies. As I've said, there's a lot of work involved here. I will be doing another video in the next day or so, bringing you all up to date with some new angles and some new stuff. In the meantime, it's good to see a lot of the community is active on this. FliteTest, now they put a video up. They've got a new channel. I'll put a link to that in the description, and a link to a video which showed a panel at the CES show, which included Josh Bixler, someone who was a commercial drone school operator, someone from the AMA, and someone from the FAA. And I have to say, if you look through the video, Josh Bixler did a stunningly good job of getting the key points across, and he also raised the issue of electronic ID on this panel. The AMA might as well have not been there. I've said they're handling this poorly, and I think the performance of the AMA on this panel just proves it. When it came down to the last summary where you could raise any issues you wanted, Josh brought up the electronic ID thing and how it was going to cripple STEM and all the other things, all the things we know. The AMA just said, we're so pleased that the FAA is going to be recognising community-based organisations. In other words, we're happy because we're getting something. Josh Bixler was concerned because people were losing something. The AMA was simply happy because they were getting something, community-based organisation recognition. No, I'm sorry. Now, I've said on a number of places that we don't want to throw other parts of the hobby under the bus. If you're an avid FPVer, you have to be looking at also for the people that fly gas planes over grassy fields. And if you're someone who flies gas planes over a grassy field, you've got to be supporting the FPV flyers. Don't make the mistake of thinking we can sacrifice the other aspects of the hobby to protect ourselves, because it doesn't work that way. It's all or nothing. There's unity, there's power in unity. And if we remain fractionalized and disparate, we're not going to achieve the goals we want. If we try and say, oh, look after us, but go get them, we're fragmented And as we all know, an enemy divided is an enemy conquered. So we have to be unified in this. So we all got to work together. I think someone needs to go to the AMA and just teach them a few basics, because really, after the fiasco that was their attempts to block the revocation of Section 336, we know they don't know what they're doing, honestly. Now, there's some really nice people there. I've watched their podcast, and the government affairs officer, really nice, but no clues, I'm sorry. AMA, you need to work in with these other groups far more effectively than you are and get some advice from them. Go and see Josh Bixler. And the interesting thing in the video from CES was that the AMA is the largest model aviation representative body they claim in the world, 200,000 members. Josh Bixler represents 800,000 Americans who fly model aircraft. So is the AMA redundant in terms of making representations to the FAA and the government? The group behind them is 1/4 the size of the group behind FliteTest. So yeah, AMA, you're not doing anyone any favours at the moment. You're really not doing the job that you claim to be doing. So please, somebody help them out. Really, someone help them out. There you go, that's it. And if you're an AMA member and you're really angry at me because I've basically pointed out the Emperor has no clothes, then get to the comments with you and tell us why I'm wrong and you're right. I'd like to know. That's it. Stay tuned. More of this coming up very soon. We have until March the 2nd to make submissions, and my video outlining guidelines for submissions will be up well before then, so don't worry. And we want to leave some of those submissions as long as we can, so it puts the maximum workload on the FAA. Suddenly they've got all these submissions to go through rather than being able to go through them as they come in. Let's leave it late in the process until we do it. And that also gives them less opportunity to try and ankle tap some of the points we might raise. There you go, that's it. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. If you're not a subscriber, then subscribe or you'll miss some of the stuff. And if you're new to the channel, look at the back catalogue. There's stuff there that might interest you. Certainly if you enjoy the hobby, there's a whole lot of stuff that you'll probably find interesting or amusing. That's it. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.